It was a peaceful afternoon in a quiet Chicago neighborhood. Residents walked their dogs, enjoying the calm, when Benjamin Harris, a 67-year-old retired U.S. Senator, strolled down the street in a neat black suit. He looked like any other neighbor enjoying the day, but this calm afternoon was about to take a dark turn. As Benjamin approached a corner, a police cruiser rolled up behind him and stopped. Officer Douglas Tilford, a large, intimidating man, stepped out. Tilford was known in the area for his aggressive nature, especially towards certain residents. Today, he had chosen Benjamin as his target. "Hey, you!" Tilford called, his boots slapping the pavement as he marched over. Benjamin turned to face him, maintaining his calm demeanor. "Yes, officer. Can I help you?" he asked politely. "What's a guy like you doing here?" Tilford snapped. "You don't belong here. Drugs? Stolen property?" Benjamin was stunned by the officer's rude tone. "I live here," he said. "I'm just out for a walk. Is there a problem?" Tilford ignored him and kept scanning Benjamin, searching for something, anything to justify his suspicion. "Let me see your ID?" he demanded, folding his arms. Without hesitation, Benjamin reached into his jacket and slowly pulled out his wallet. "Here you go, officer. I'm Senator Benjamin Harris," he said, handing over his ID. Tilford barely glanced at it. "A senator, huh?" he sneered. "What's a senator doing in a neighborhood like this? You think your fancy title will get you out of trouble?" By now, a few neighbors had noticed the scene, some peeking out of windows, others watching from a distance. A couple even started recording, sensing things could escalate. Benjamin sighed, his patience thinning. "I don't want any trouble," he said calmly. "I'm just trying to get home." But Tilford wasn't finished. He stepped closer, his hand hovering near his holster. "I've seen plenty of your kind," he muttered, "always thinking you're above the law. Not today." The tension in the air was thick. Tilford's hand brushed the grip of his gun. Benjamin stood his ground, hands visible, trying to remain calm. He knew how dangerous these situations could become. "Officer, step back," he said firmly. "I'm not a threat to you." But Tilford's face darkened. "You think you're smarter than me, huh?" he spat, stepping closer. "You think your suit and title will save you?" A few more neighbors had gathered, cautiously watching from their porches, sensing something was wrong. Some whispered to each other, others kept their phones out, filming. "I don't want any trouble," Benjamin repeated, his voice steady. "I've done nothing wrong, and I'm asking you to back down." Tilford's pride was too strong to let go. He pulled out his gun in one swift motion, pointing it directly at Benjamin. The crowd gasped, and the phone zoomed in. Benjamin froze, his hand still visible, his voice calm. "You don't know who you're dealing with, officer," he said, his eyes locked on Tilford's. "You don't want to make a mistake here." The situation hung in the air, charged with the threat of violence. Just then, a sleek black car with government plates rolled up. A tall, sharply dressed man in his 40s stepped out and walked quickly toward Tilford, his presence commanding attention. "What's going on here?" the man asked in a deep, authoritative voice. Tilford didn't answer, still focused on Benjamin with his gun raised. The man flashed a badge, the Senate emblem visible. "I'm Special Agent Richard Palmer, assigned to Senator Harris," he said, his tone sharp. "Put your weapon down, now." Tilford looked from the badge to Benjamin, confusion on his face. "This man isn't a senator," he muttered, still holding the gun. "This is some kind of trick." Agent Palmer's gaze hardened. "That man," he said, pointing at Benjamin, "has a gun pointed at him, and you're about to make the biggest mistake of your career." The crowd had gone silent, the tension unbearable. Tilford's hands wavered as the reality of the situation began to sink in. But he didn't lower the gun. His pride, caught between his fear and his arrogance, held him in place. Agent Palmer took a step forward, his voice cold. "You're on camera, officer. Do you really want to be the one who shoots a U.S. senator in broad daylight?" Tilford's grip tightened on the gun, but something in his eyes shifted. The reality of his actions began to dawn on him. Slowly, reluctantly, he lowered the weapon. The crowd exhaled in relief. Agent Palmer didn't trust him yet. "Officer Tilford," he said, his voice firm, "you're relieved of duty. Hand over your badge and weapon." Tilford stood frozen for a moment, disbelief written on his face. But the weight of the crowd, the cameras, and Agent Palmer's unflinching stare left him no choice. He unclipped his badge and handed it over, his face pale. "You'll regret this," he muttered, but the words had no power. He was defeated. Agent Palmer turned to Benjamin. "Senator Harris, are you all right?" Benjamin nodded, his expression calm. "I'm fine, thank you, Richard." At that moment, several more official vehicles arrived. The police chief stepped out of one, rushing toward the scene, his face red with embarrassment and anger. "Senator Harris, I'm so sorry. This is unacceptable," he said. "I appreciate your apology, Chief," Benjamin replied calmly. "But this isn't just about me. It's about how certain officers treat people in this country. This should never have happened." The crowd murmured in agreement, some sharing their own stories of harassment. They had just witnessed justice in action, but the message was clear. This could have been anyone. As Tilford was led away, the police chief assured Benjamin, "Rest assured, Senator, there will be an investigation. Officer Tilford will face the consequences." Benjamin nodded, his demeanor unchanged. He had fought injustice many times before, but today, justice had been swift. As the crowd began to disperse, some still recording, the neighborhood buzzed with whispers about the incident. It would be the talk of the town for weeks, perhaps months. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more. Have a great day.